Hello, Flynn. Hello, Meenakshi. It's been a while, but it's great to be back here. Uh, Coming to my introduction, Flynn, it was the sweetest introduction ever. So, coming to the more professional ones, I would say I got graduated in 2020 from College of Dental Sciences. It's a part of RGH's University, Bangalore. And right after I finished my graduation, I came to US for my master's in health informatics. That was at Boston Northeastern University. And then soon after I finished it, I got graduated in May. And then I worked for a little while, and I'm back to school in Jan of 2024 at NYU College of Dentistry. So when make it sound like I got graduated this year, and then right after that I was in US for my masters, and right next year I was in dentistry, I know it sounds like a fairy tale, but it was not at all a fairy tale. And the major part that I feel that played in my application was my research, which was going on since past 8 years, I believe. 2015. You guys, please do the calculation. I'm too bad with numbers. So from 2015 onwards, I had a dream that I had to come to US or any other international country for that matter, and I knew that there was something extra that my resume would require for me to be considered in one of the schools here, either it be in US or either it be in UK or Australia for that matter, because I had all the options that were open. And while I did play a major part in doing like small research products and attending conferences and presenting there for a while, even after coming to US, I made sure that the masters that I was doing, I was a part of research in this as well, and somehow tried to connect all the dots that were there in my life, like either it be my dental and how my research helped my dental, and how my work towards the research and the data has pushed me towards health informatics here in US, where it was not related to when you see it from outside, but somehow when it comes to the application, it's very important that we connect the dots, and that's what I did, and connected my research to health informatics, and then worked as a research assistant here as well at Harvard and Brigham's, and connected that to I would say my dream goal of being into oral health research or dental research at any of the prestigious universities here.
Thanks, Yashaswini. Before we move on, I just want to say something that when you heard her story, there's probably like 10 of you all thinking uh, that research is a mandatory requirement and you don't have research and spiraling. Please don't do that. The moral of her story is like she rightly put, connecting the dots and being consistent. So it was research for Yashaswini, but probably for you, it's community service. Probably for you, it's a very strong clinical background. Probably for you, it's an interest in, let's say, pediatric dentistry or something, some specialization. And now if you're wondering, how do I show that at this stage of my dental journey, you shadow in clinics that specialize in that specialty as well, sometimes other than general dentistry. Sort of continuously show your interest and make up your story and connect the dots. Right? When they look back, even if you're doing an MPH or informatics or anything, you should be able to tell the story in a way that everything is coming together. So if you don't have research, that's absolutely fine. There are a lot of people who have gotten without research. With that being said, having a publication of research is definitely a game changer. But if you're not interested, then like might as well choose something else to keep going. All right. So usually we have a presentation and all that, but this time we thought that we'll just go into question and answers, because that's obviously what gives you more understanding of the thoughts that you have. Before we go directly into your questions, we thought we'll answer a few that we had collected through the Google form. So we'll go one by one, and those questions could also be for you all, and then we'll move on to the questions that you all may have here on the forum. Dr. Kavya asks, what all universities are not on CAAPID portal? Do you want to take this, Yashaswini?
I believe that we have most of the colleges. Till my knowledge persists, there was this college in San Antonio, which is not there, University of Dental in San Antonio. That's not there. And I believe that this year it opened sometime in Feb, whereas the other CAPID cycle starts usually in the March first week. So apart from this one, I am not knowledgeable about others, I would say.
Yeah, that's right. It's only UTHS. And also
Maybe still.
some school, Missouri.
Mhm.
But I think they're on Capit from this time, right? This cycle.
Very
They're
good.
fairly new on the list. And there's one more school, Harvard. I mean, Harvard, as you all know it. But they don't really have an international program per se. But when they have vacancies on their traditional program, they do call out dentists. And we particularly know this because last time a doctor was working with us through a scholarship. She was applying through Capit, but she had applied to Harvard and she got in there. So that is something you can keep an eye out for, because any school that you get into or like is one more chance for you, right? So that's another option. And Dr. Shweta, speaking of scholarship winners, she's our scholar for this year. Hi, Shweta. And yes, we have started. Can you hear us? Okay, awesome. Okay, Dr. Vishwa is asking, does early applications affect the admissions process?
Yeah, I
Waiting for
thought
me, Flynn?
Yes, yes. I
Okay.
mean, they're all here for you. You can answer unless
Okay.
I said
Yeah,
otherwise.
I would say it's the most important aspect. That doesn't mean that you go ahead and submit your incomplete applications. That's what not I'm advocating for. But then I am a person who needs each and every aspect of my application like perfect. I need to go through each and everything like 15 to 16 times, and until and unless I am very confident, I do not want to go about it. But don't do the mistake that I did. Just try to finish all your work, get it checked, make sure that you make everybody around you, like people special to you, or like people who can judge you, read your LORs, your SOPs, and your go through your application, get them checked with Flynn or Meenakshi, go through it twice and thrice, and just like a week before, or at least like 4 days before the cycle starts, just be ready to just click on that accept, like apply button at then and there. And like I would say just maybe like 4 or 5 days later, like my application started on March 9th, this year in 2023. So March 9th to March 11th or 12th, don't go beyond that, is what I have learned. But then Flynn and Meenakshi, you guys are like the experts. What would you say?
What I have to say is what you said itself. I mean, there's always a um, balance that you need to strike. Early application is always important, but that being said, like she said, don't go in with an incomplete application thinking that that will save your life, because it won't. So if you're ready for it, then great. Like people who apply late March, or rather up until even early April for that matter, can be considered as early application. So in case you're not ready, then don't like fret about it. But right now is a good time to make yourself ready. You have another 30, 40 days left, right? So good time to really do your research, sit down and spend, even if you spend like an hour a day, an hour and a half, it will really get you there. But let's say worst case scenario, you're not ready, then go for it. Now an example for that is in Colorado, they are working on a rolling basis, and they do give importance to early application. That being said, I know personally at least 3 people who applied the last week before they close, which is like now for Colorado. They're closing in like a week, and still got invitations and then acceptance. But obviously, for that, you need to have a holistic application. They need to see the twinkle in your eye through your words. All that should happen. So it's a chance, it's a gamble. Your probability definitely decreases, but why not? If you're going all in, then go ahead. So the key is to try and prepare as early as you can. But if not, take it one day at a time and then try to complete as soon as you can and apply. Um, Certain schools, applying late is not really a great gamble, but again, there's no way to really find out your chances. So if you're applying to a lot of schools, and then might as well just go ahead. But right now, how many of you all are applying for 24 this cycle? Raise of hands, show of faces. Okay, some 5, 7, or 10, 12, 14, 15, 17, 19, 20. I mean, I would have loved it if you all are showing your faces and actual hands, but I will take this for now. Okay, so almost some 30, 35 of you all are applying the cycle. So all of you all should ideally be, not no pressure at all, but you should ideally be done with your, or rather done with at least the first drafts of all your documents or thinking about how to write them and reach that stage. Okay.
So there's one more thing that I would like to add, Flynn, here.
Yes. Yes.
So like so many people have been like asking me, like texting me about it or like calling me about it, just asking that while they're still preparing for application, because it seems that shadowing or getting in volunteer experience is like very much important while you're putting an application. Most of the students usually like start pretty late. Like there are few people who have like 2 years or 2.5 years of work experience working as a shadowing dentist, but there's so many people who are who have started just now, and they're waiting on putting that to their resume. They want that maybe like if at all, if I wait like a month or month and a half, then I can put like 3 months of work experience working as a volunteer, working as a shadowing dentist. And that's the main reason why most of the people are waiting. So for those people, the one thing that I am suggesting is don't wait for because you want like an extended period of time or an experience that you want to add in your resume. Don't wait for that. You just have to like mention it in the resume that you have been like shadowing for this while, and then you've been working as a volunteer for this while at this place. And don't lose your chances just because you want to add a certain thing in your resume, because you can still I don't think you can still edit your resume later on. But when, if at all, you get an interview call or something like that the next time, that is when you can go and elaborate that you've been working more for this particular while, and what is it that you have learned through the time, rather than the extended period of time that you want to put in your resume.
That's right. On the CAAPID portal, you have an option to give a current experience. So they know that it's an ongoing experience, and that is good enough. And also, if you, depends on your visa as well. That's another thing that you all should keep in mind. They don't look at your application, segment by segment. For someone who has residential status in the US in some capacity as a dependent or as a student, then know that your goal is to continuously keep doing something, because they know that you have the, I'm going to call it, privilege of being in the country, while a lot of others come in on a visitor's visa or something and don't really have the time to be there for a long period. So I mean that I pivoted a little bit, but I'm trying to say that, like she said, give it as a current experience and just go ahead, because that's more important. Wouldn't be worth your time to wait for another 3 months or so. And all of y'all can lower your hands, because then I wouldn't know who's asking the question. But also another question to ask here is, how many of you all have seen the CAAPID portal or opened it, sort of hovered over it, started your account? See, now I realize that the question I should have asked it the other way around. There are too many hands. Who hasn't done it? I'm sorry. Who's not gone through the portal yet? Okay. I'm going to take the liberty of calling out a few names. Hopefully, you guys are comfortable with it. You can unmute and speak. Dr. Evangelina. Hi, doctor. Are you applying the cycle?
Hello.
Hi.
Hi. Thank you so much. Yes, I am applying this cycle, and I was wondering if we get a letter of recommendation from a relative in the United States, would that count? What would you
Who
guys
asked the question?
recommend?
Okay, we'll take the questions later, but since you've asked this one, I will go for it. But before that, why I was asking is, all of you all who are especially applying the cycle, please take a look at the application, because once you do is when you will understand what you need in the application. And it's extremely important, because only if you know the questions, only if you know the layout of the puzzle, will you know how to fill it, right? And once you open the application, you'll have a lot of doubts. So begin that now and fill bits, but then also know that only some parts will get carried forward to your next cycle. So even if you don't fill it, just open and have a view. And Evangelina, to answer your question, a relative in the US, yes, that will count. I would recommend, though, don't really focus on the fact that you guys are related on the letter, if that can be avoided, unless like you guys are really close, like it's your parents or your close, siblings or so, because they're the more they know that you're related, yes, it does show a little bit that the opportunity came with a little bit of bias, even though that might not be the case. So try to not show it. Your best option is to get someone that you're not related to, or even someone from not your um, nationality, your home country. But that being said, I know it's very difficult to get an opportunity. So if that's the best that you can get, then just go ahead. Get the letter, but try to avoid writing that you guys are related. All right, sounds good. So all of you have raised, you can go down, but then yes, please do check the application portal. There is something called CAAPID Applicant Help Center on the website itself, which really answers a lot of your FAQs. I mean, your questions that you might have about filling. On our channel, we have a video that was done by Dr. Nikita 2-3 years back, who's in Michigan now. She made a demo of filling the application section by section. So for a lot of y'all who feel this filling is very overwhelming, please go take a look at that. It's a very boring video, not because of Nikita, but because it's a demo. But just go through it like 1x, 2x, 2x, 3x or whatever, and just get the gist of it and go through the application portal. All right, going on to the next question. Tips for a good personal statement. This is from Dr. Ayush. Oh, it's not Ayush. Okay, it's Dr. Barbara. I'm sorry. Sorry, Ayush. Okay, hi, Dr. Barbara. Got your question. A very, very elaborate, comprehensive question for which we possibly couldn't answer like in one go. But I'll definitely request you to go read our blog, which was written by Meenakshi here. MS, if you could send that link here while we talk. And I'm not endorsing the blog just as a blog, but that's a very, very comprehensive blog with examples. It would really help you to even do it yourself, do the work yourself as some guidance. But along with that, I'm going to ask Yashaswini if she has any tips from the time that she did it, that maybe 2 or 3 things that, we could take use of.
The first thing that I would stress here is don't read any SOPs before you write yours. The first instinct that we get when we want to write an SOP is to read, like to ask like anyone who has written SOP around us, or people who have got into a dental school. Like even that, I've been getting like zillions of messages just for me to like send my LORs and SOPs so that they can read once and get to know how we're supposed to write it. My first tip would be don't read anyone's SOP. Write 2 SOPs of your own, with all the stories that you want to like put about. Just write few questions, make a list of questions. Where do you how did you start? Why do you want to join dentistry? What are you doing right now? And again, connecting dots is something very important in SOP as well. So like for every paragraph that you want to write about, first form a question for it and then try to answer that question. Don't read anyone's SOP. Make an script of your own, and then your last stage has to be editing it for 5,200 words, which is like the limit for the CAAPID portal. And then working out on changing words or improving your vocabulary in the SOP, or making correcting your grammatical mistakes and stuff. But so the 3 things would be, if I'm enumerating again: don't read anyone's SOP, don't let it dominate your brain. First, make a list of questions, and then answer your questions in the form of joining your dots about your life and make it your own story. Nothing can be more impressive than that.
Agreed. Meenakshi, do you want to add in something to that?
Yeah, just a couple of things. One, try and make it sound like you, how you would like to present yourself. So if you do not use exceptional vocabulary in your everyday language, then please stay true to yourself. Like what she said, you do not have to read other people's SOP, which also means you do not have to imitate other people's style as well. make it reflective of yourself. And the other thing, the most important thing from my perspective will be, do not make it a rendition of your CV. You have a CV, you have a CAAPID portal, which is going to do precisely that. So please bring out specific qualities or skill sets or experiences that you've gone through that will make you stand out as an applicant. They're going to read thousands of applications. So just try and make yours in a way that will stand out. It need not be flowery language, can be straight from the heart, but should be like you, should sound like you. That's all.
That's right. And I want to bring in something that I recently heard. We have heard this since the beginning of Caapid Simplified, but I recently got the opportunity of listening to our founders speak, Karthik and Nourah. We had gone for a webinar. So the thing that they said about writing Nourah's statement was a storyboard. So that's just the name that they've given for it, but that is extremely important. Before you guys begin writing, create, like, jam in on your life. You would be amazed at how much of your memories and your own stories are right here in the back of your head. And we know this because we do this with applicants who come to us for support through an interview coaching session. When I coach people, I'm really, really amazed at how much we have forgotten. It's also introspection for me. When I think back, I'm like, yeah, I don't remember a lot of things that, I've done in the last 5 years. So it's important for you to sort of make that board. Now, what will that board have? Depends on each person. Like, it could have your skills, for example. Imagine that you're someone who is you're a people's person. So that is definitely something that should come out in your statement. Imagine you're a sports person. You would think it's just your hobby, but it's not. It talks about your discipline. It talks about time management. It talks about focus. So how do you bring that into the statement? Or imagine that something that has happened in your life has a very pivotal meaning for this journey of yours. So let that be on the storyboard. So write all the things that make, like, you, like Flynn. And then Flynn gets to sit down and, with help or without help, decide out of that which all incidents or skills or memories will eventually connect the dots, like she said, and make your personal statement. Remember that all these people are sitting there and reading like thousands and thousands of personal statements and just want to break, like, they're looking for that spark. And when I say spark, it does not have to mean like MS, like Meenakshi said, like, out of the world vocabulary or nothing like that. It just has to mean that you're telling a story that will strike a chord with them. So remember the storyboard, it could be really helpful. And I'm just going to ask something here. Is there anyone who's doing a master's right now in the US or has done a master's? Not dentistry, anything else? I know Ayush is. Anyone else? Okay. Dr. Renuka, if you could unmute and tell me what master's you're doing. If that's okay.
Hey, yeah,
Hi.
hey, hi. Yeah, I'm doing health informatics in Northeastern University. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. So just to, not putting you on the spot, just to think out loud, if you're comfortable.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah.
Tell me one way that you possibly think that what you're learning at informatics
Yep.
could be linked to dentistry in any way.
Right now we are dealing about health data. Like, we learn about health related data and also about something public related. And also we do our course has American healthcare system, and also we need to submit our literature reviews. So I feel like the all health related data, particularly public health and also particularly health data, can help us in this DDS program. I'm thinking in
Awesome.
such way. Yeah.
Yes, that's amazing. So I'm glad that you had an answer. A lot of people might not, because you're not thinking that way already. So this is key, guys. Whatever you're doing right now, how to match it back to your application is all that you need to know. A lot of them know that you're doing masters as a bridge course in the admissions committee. It's not a secret. They know that some of you all want to do your course, but some of them know that this is in fact a bridge course for you to get there. So what you're looking for is just a justification that you're going to somehow utilize those 2-3 years in your area. So like she said, it can be health data. Public health is very easy to link back to dentistry. It could be research. A lot of these master's programs require you to take an active part in research. So what skills of yours have really amplified during that particular time? Bring that out. I'll call one more person, Dr. Kaushani. What masters are you doing?
Hi, I am doing Masters in Public Health right now.
Okay, if I were to ask you specifically, how do you plan on linking your dental story to this, or whether you have any thoughts, what would that be?
Yeah, so what I'm thinking is same as like health informatics. It's like in public health, we get to know more about healthcare system in US, more of like
Mm-hmm.
policy, insurance, how it works and how it affects
Amazing.
the public.
Yes.
And then the research aspect as well, because public health, it gives, I'm an I'm doing major in epidemiology, so you get a lot of information about how research can be conducted in any field for that matter in healthcare.
Awesome. So speaking of vocabulary, more than like she said, vocabulary doesn't really matter as much, but jargon could be helpful. So here, when I ask Dr. Kaushini a question, two words that she used. One is I've already forgotten the second one. This is why you need a storyboard, guys. The first word that struck me is policy. So the moment you use the word policy, um, it really changes the dynamic of your answer. Because I know it sounds very silly, but again, from the experience of having coached a lot of people, sometimes you forget that the most important thing is right in front of you. But when you write about your application, your thoughts on policy, how that really made you aware of the US healthcare system or dental system, all this could be helpful. So focus less on vocabulary, focus more on jargon, focus more on the right words that could really, for example, cultural competency is one another word that can come up a lot. People, they will ask you about diversity. They will ask you, so how to write about diversity, how to include cultural competency, how to include inclusivity is more important, or is a better way of answering the question rather than just focusing on the simple word diversity, right? It's not as black and white. So that's where jargon really comes to help all of you. Thank you. If you were sitting in front of me, I would like throw a chocolate, which is very teacher-like, but that's what we were doing, Nourah and I. But here, I just want to say thanks for unmuting and showing your face and speaking up. So I think Ayush has asked for opportunities for shadowing in Philadelphia. I just want to put that out there so that any of y'all, if there's something that y'all can share, then please do with Ayush or through us, and we can pass it
Can
on.
I add something to that?
Yes,
So,
please.
yes. So I asked this question last week, and just out of, I don't know, fortune or something like that, I got a shadowing opportunity. Actually, I got two of
Oh,
them this
thank
week. One
goodness.
from, so yeah, I today was the first day I actually went for a shadowing opportunity. I was there for like 7 hours
Great.
over there. So that's going to happen every week. So from now on, so
That's
I
amazing.
think yeah,
Okay,
I
so no
found
more, but y'all can still pass it on as any, because we can
of
still
course.
network through it. But I hope that gives you hope that if any of you are looking for it, it will come your way, because I know it's a little maddening out there, but eventually, and help each other as much as you can. I know that um, everyone's your competition, but also that need not be a bad thing. If you help each other down the line or through your journey, it will be of help for you to have a community where you tell each other opportunities, especially community service. Put in a good word with your mentor for the others who are doing this. It could really, really go a long way, more than I could like really explain right now. So but anyway, awesome. I should really happy that you got a chance. um
I do
is
have a
Dr.
question.
Unati?
If I
Yeah.
can, I do have a question.
Mhm.
So,
Yes.
just a general question: how to basically improve on my clinical skills while I'm here, so that uh, that can be reflected into my application in some way. Do you, like, as
This
in, I've heard that people sometimes they set up a bench kit in their own home or wherever they're living in.
that's right.
Is that
Mhm.
a good option, or should I go for something else?
This question has come up again in the list, and the perfect person to answer that is right here. Go ahead.
So I would say, I feel Ayush, that was like the right question to ask, because I was not given much knowledge about it when I was applying for my schools. Complete concentration was on the application, my SOPs, LORs, and like choosing of schools, but nobody actually prepared me for the bench test, or for that matter, to improve my clinical skills. One thing that I strongly advocate is to find a good bench test preparation class. Not endorsing on anything specific. There are multiple courses as such all around US. I believe that most of the schools here, even Rutgers and UPenn, gives a bench test preparation and stuff.
I think
But more
Buffalo.
than that, yeah, even Buffalo does, like for 4 days, I believe. But more than that, there are a few courses towards the California, either be Duggins or Stevenson. There are a few in Texas as well. I went to Texas, but those are like about like 10-day or a 14-day course. Completely depends upon how much you can afford and how much you are okay to spend on. That's a personal choice. But that helped me a lot. Firstly, to improve my clinical skills. Secondly, I lost a lot of touch after I came to US, and because I was a COVID graduated batch as well, I didn't have much of clinical experience. So trust me, it sounds very funny that I literally forgot how an aerator sounds, if it makes sense. But the course really helped me. And more than anything, you're going to make more and more connections there. You'll find a lot of people who are in the same path as you. And that opens a lot of pathways for you. Like you get to know about their experiences, how they are doing, and how they are going about the small problems that they are coming across. And the second thing is, once you join the course and once you have the needed material for you to prepare, then I would say go and like set up and what do you call, like the dental setup at your house and then practice. Because for me, I required guidance before I started something of my own at the house. So I think that that should be the case with most of us here. So go for a class for how many ever days that you would like to learn few things, and then apply those things while you are setting up your uh, kit at the house. And the second thing that you can do is, there are so many hand-on courses that are available in whatever region you are. There'll be dental schools around you, and there are few hands-on courses that are usually given out. But that again completely depends upon you, because I was a student. I didn't have, like, they're like pretty expensive. Like each hands-on courses are like $400-$500. So that was something that I couldn't afford. But if at all, if you can, then you can go for any of the general dentist related topics, or any topic that you are related, like nothing major and nothing like complex, but like simple things, like like in different like composite class 2 restorations, any advancements in those are all like small things that come under general dentistry. So you can go and attend those hands-on courses. Again, it's your personal choice, but that is something that you can do.
Thank you so much.
Yashaswini. I've also added the name of, the blog which I think Karthik and Nourah wrote. It has a list of places as well. So in case that is helpful for you all. And is there a name, the Texas bench? Because people have been asking on the comment section.
Yes. So there's this course that is available in Frisco, Texas. It's conducted by Dr. Shalini Tasma. It's a 4-day course and is comparatively a little more affordable. So if you guys, she's really good, and you'll have like the personal experience. Not endorsing anything, it's not an ad, but it's an option for you guys.
Nothing else in that, no worries. Yes, but I get why you feel the need to say it. Yeah, but
Yeah.
it's got experience. So do a little bit of your research as well, and then join in if it makes sense. All right. There's this question about can we entirely change our SOPs or answers to the supplemental questions of certain universities? So that's a two-part question: personal statement and supplementals. Personal statement, you ideally cannot, because it goes into the central part of your application, and every university gets your statement. However, as an exception to this rule, there are 2 or 3 universities that ask for a separate statement. One is Colorado, one is Minnesota, and I think Meheri also asks something like a statement in its supplemental application. Am I missing something, Meenakshi and Yashaswini? Any other schools? This is what I can remember. Yeah.
And
guess
ask for a
that
separate
is-
statement.
Which one?
Rutgers has no supplemental at all. It doesn't even have
Yeah,
supplemental.
Yeah,
That's-
Rutgers, I don't think does. But yeah, so just to get you started, okay, Samiha saying UAB. Alabama asks, okay. I don't remember this, but yes, could be. So just check that out as well. So UAB is Alabama, Birmingham. So these 2, 3 schools could ask you a separate statement, and that is your opportunity to please strike a chord with that school. Do not send your CAPID personal statement there. It will not serve you well. Especially schools like Minnesota is very God, I've forgotten the Dr. Adarvi, right? Is his name. The program director is very hands-on. They do conduct regular programs like webinars to sort of talk about what they're looking for. A lot of it might not be helpful, but at least attend one webinar to hear them speak. Right? You'll hear words from their mouth, their brain, their mind that will make a difference in how you interpret your application. And UMN is very, very particular about how they want to know where you connect with the school and how the school is befitting to you. And we have really seen, like how much of a difference that makes for you to talk about what you see in that school and be as specific as you can. Don't talk general stuff like Minnesota has an amazing academic program. They have the best faculties. They have amazing technology. Everyone in the US has all of that. So don't talk about that. Talk about which amazing program you like, which amazing research opportunity struck your mind, which faculty really inspired you. So go in deep and sort of tweak your personal statement to include all of this and moderate it. And supplemental answers, the second part of the question, yes, it is very specific to each school, because supplemental application is sent to you by the school themselves. So every answer that you give to a particular school is just for them. So fine tune it to the school. For example, what NYU asks about why you want to join the school, right, Yashaswini?
Yes.
Can you tell us what you wrote in that answer, if that's something that you remember?
Yes,
Or
yes,
what
I do
points you wrote
remember.
about? Yeah.
So there were like two things which were very I would say attractive is the right word. I'm not sure, but there are like quite a good number of externships that are there with NYU. There are like students from D3 and D4 taken for externships to the various countries. There are outreach programs that are there in NYU, and like people are quite active. Them, they are not something that are like just put on website like for namesake. Those are something that I was very interested in. And more than anything, so NYU has this program that even like as D3s and D4s, all the students are divided into something called as societies. So like there are about like 12 societies, I believe, that, and all the students are divided like 40 each in each society. And how that society works, it works exactly like a dental office. Like it works as a dental associate, and you work in exactly the way that you're going to work in your professional career. So it actually prepares you for the real time show, I would say. So these were the two things that I was very much attracted to in NYU, and I just wrote about them. I was like, I want to be a part of any outreach program, for that matter of fact. Even I want to go to South Africa and do some volunteering. I was very interested. So I don't know if it worked, but I guess it did, as I'm here.
And I hope we get to do it as well as
Yeah,
we
yes,
move into
yes.
that. But see, I mean, this is what we're talking about. There's something very specific, like she spoke about what program there she found really attractive. So that is how you should pen all of your supplementals. Being very specific and dropping planters for them to remember you. Like, for all we know, one of our professors might actually remember that she wanted to do this and might talk to her about it or sort of mentor her for it. We never know, because these are not your typical MBA classes, or it's not your typical home country universities where so many people get accepted, right? It's still a closed circle. They all speak to each other. A lot of them see your application, and they have these references going on in the inside. So your goal should be that when they're done with the reading or the interview, they'll talk about you after, is what your goal should be. So yes, hope that answers your
Actually,
question.
I would like to add up to that, Flynn.
Mm.
So,
Yes.
the actually what Flynn said is completely right. It's such a close knitted circle that you never know who actually, like, sitting on the admissions committee has read your SOP and how they remember. They just know the name and what you have written in your SOP. So when I went to one of the student days at NYU, and I just gave my introduction about like what my name is and where I'm coming from and what am I doing. So she just, like, one of the admissions committee person who was sitting with us in the student day, she actually remembered my name. And after everything got over, she just comes to me and she was like, "You are the one like whose father was in army." And I was like, I was completely shocked for a moment, and I was like, okay, like there can be other people as well whose father was in army. But then it was like, I really liked your SOP. When I read your SOP, and it's like the way that you drew instances from your father's life to your life. It is pretty beautiful. I was touched, she said. And trust me, at that moment of time, I couldn't react. I couldn't react because I didn't have anything to say. I was pretty much shocked. So you never know who reads your SOP. You never know who goes through your uh, the materials that you put in. But actually that's what makes it beautiful, I feel. So be true to whatever you write in your SOP. You never know whose day it would make. So
I can tell you whose day it made. Meenakshi's in mine, because we've worked with you on this, and it is nice to see that. See, this is the thing. I'm glad you brought this anecdote out, because quite often when I speak to people on like calls, I feel like even if we tell them that this is how it works, it's hard to believe, right? Because there's so much happening on the back end. But see, guys, you'd never know. We've heard these crazy stories about how they really remember you once you walk out of there, and that really should be your goal. And also, one more thing to sort of point out here is, see, her SOP, her personal statement had. She spoke about her father and his background in the army, and she sort of drew instances out of it. The lot of y'all who wonder, should my personal statement be creative? Should my personal statement be not creative? Should my personal statement have a theme? Is that considered to be too flowery? So this is an example for you that anything works. So when I'll also tell you an example from what we have written. We have helped people write a statement. I remember one which had Disney characters in it, because that person had this flamboyance to them. And I remember that person was very skeptical about taking it in, but after they got invitation, something like this, someone came and spoke to them about the personal statement. But you've also written statements that are very to the point, straightforward, because probably that's what you are. So the moral here is anything works, is what I'm saying. There's no cookie cutter method. You don't have to be intimidated that she wrote about her father while you did not know. Find your true story, and the more I say it, the more it sounds philosophical, but that really is your key to putting across a very true and honest and relatable is the word as well, personal statement, where you just talk about what is there. You can write about your pets. You see, Leo has made an appearance in Divya's screen. He's part of all our calls. So anything that is really important to you, bring that into your story, and that is what will make your statement stand out. I was going to call Dr. Unnati. I am not sure if I'm pronouncing it right. Are you here?
Yes, I'm here, Doc.
Hi. How
Hi,
do
how
I
are you?
pronounce it? I'm good. Am I saying your name right?
Yeah, that's correct. It's on Dr.
Unnati.
Unnati.
Okay, all right. So you said you have a question about the Dean's letter recommendation. You can ask the question to Yashaswini.
Yes, actually, my question is about Dean's letter of recommendation because right now it is very difficult to get in touch with them. Last year, I was trying, but it didn't work out. So some of the universities, when I went through the details, they specifically asked for the letter of recommendation from your dean of your college. So it is like something concerning. I'm very worried about that.
I'm glad you asked this question, Dr. Soni. So I'll tell you one more crazy story.
Yes.
I'm sorry if it is becoming like, Flynn, just stop me if I'm oversharing, okay? So
I think
while I
that's
was
why we're
applying,
here, to hear your oversharing story. So please go ahead. They don't want me to talk. I'm sure they're here for you.
yeah. So actually, I don't know if Flynn remembers this. I had the same problem. So I was unable to get my dean's letter. He passed away last year, and like
Oh
right
my God.
after I moved out of the school. And then and the new deans, whoever come, they specifically, like, firstly, they don't have the time uh, to give you a letter of recommendation when you are not there specifically. And me being here while I was doing masters, I couldn't send anyone personally to the university asking for one. So basically, the end of the story is I was unable to like get one. So what I did was, while I was applying for schools, I anyways, like being an international student on F1 visa, it's already very difficult for you to channelize and like filter the number of colleges that you can apply to. And on top of that, I wanted to filter a little more because I was afraid to give the bench test exam, and it was too bad for the clinical part of it. And then I asked Flynn that, Flynn, you know what, like I don't want to apply to the colleges which require bench test. So let me not apply for those schools. So I try to filter them a little more, and Phil is trying to explain me, it's completely fine, Yashaswini, you'll get through it. Like once you go and you practice it, you'll be fine. You'll be more than fine. And then I'm like, okay, fine. And then I go a little more filtering down the list, and I see I have made a list of colleges which requires a dean's letter, because I
Yes.
don't have a dean's letter, and I only have an LOR from one of my HODs, and one from my research guide, and one from the doctor that I went to shadowing here in United States. NYU was one such school which required an dean's letter. So what Flynn suggested me was, even if you don't have a dean's letter, you never know, you don't decide, you don't assume that they're not going to accept your HOD's letter. You go ahead and then you mail them, ask them if they're going to accept it or not. So I go ahead and I mail NYU and saying that, okay, sir or ma'am, I don't have a dean's letter of recommendation. But I see that in your application's requirement, it's one of the mandatory requirements that I have one of the LOR at least from the dean. But I can't bring it up because he's passed away last year. And the new dean, because he doesn't know who I am as a person or who I am as a doctor, is not ready to give me a letter of recommendation. Is there something that you can suggest? Or an HOD from my college is like ready to give me an LOR. Is it something that you would accept? And then I got disheartened when I received a mail back from NYU saying that they don't accept any other LOR apart from like Dean's one. And it's very, very, very much mandatory to have an LOR from the Dean. But still, I went ahead and I was like, okay, fine, I can't filter more colleges. I at least have to apply like for 10 schools this year. And I couldn't remove NYU from my list. And I went ahead and I applied. And I got into NYU, and I am here in the school. So you never know what works out. You never know, what helps you in the application. They themselves said that they required a dean's letter, but then here I am. So maybe it would be important in other schools, and schools sometimes might take the requirement very seriously. One thing that I would suggest you is mail them, ask them first, tell them
Okay.
the barricade that you're having, and still just go on and apply. You never know. You never know.
Thank you so much, Dr. Yashaswini. It is like very helpful for me because I have been thinking about the same things.
I'm glad. I'm glad.
Thanks a lot.
This is just know that you're not alone in this. Everyone goes through this. When you were talking earlier, you said I've been trying last year or since last year. I heard I've been crying, and I really
Yeah,
believe that for a
even I
second because
had the
people
same.
actually cry about this, and I'm not even joking. Because
Oh God.
it's very, I mean, it's really sad in a way because, I mean, this is one thing that is really out of your control, and there's so much of importance for letters in the US that but then don't worry about it. I think when it comes to the dean, they don't really care as much. I mean, it is about an attestation of your conduct, of your presence in school, right? About what achievements you have. They don't really expect more from that letter. So focus less on that. Just get it done if you can, of course, as a protocol. Nothing more than that. But if your dean knows you a bit more, then of course make it personal. But focus on the other two. Pick a professor or a head of department who knows you really well, whom you've tagged along with, who's seen you in multiple scenarios. And the same way with someone in the US who's seen you for who you are, and try to touch upon, ask them to do it if they're writing it for you, or you do it yourself. Touch upon multiple skill sets. Make sure someone speaks about your clinical abilities, someone speaks about your people skills, someone speaks about your patient management, so and your academic strength as well. So make sure that everything, again, where a storyboard will help you to sort of understand what kind of web makes the person that you are. Okay, awesome. Thanks. That I love that you're sharing stories, because I think that's what gets to all the minds better.
Thank
I'm
you.
just going to go through the questions here. Mibin asks, will INBD attempts affect your chances of getting into school if you passed INBD in the first attempt? Oh, will NBD attempts affect your chances of getting if INBD first attempt you have? The answer to this is multiple chances or attempts in any of your exams will have some impact, yes, meaning it will be a consideration in their mind, but it is not the end of the world. It's not the last thing or the first only thing that they consider. And again, I'm saying this with conviction because I've seen people with multiple attempts get into school. What is more important is to show improvement or progression. So for you, you passed in the first attempt in INBD, that itself is improvement. In the future, whatever you do in the US, try to score well. If you're doing a master's, get a great GPA. If you're writing ADAT, make sure you try to score well. So anything that you do in the future, the idea is to make sure that to show them that you're doing better and you're progressing. I don't think that you need to, you know, restrict your chances just because of that. And I think you clearing INBD in the first go is a good start. However, I want to point out that there's one or two schools that MS, can we note this down? We can MIBIN the name, we can get back to them. There is one school or so that writes on their website that multiple attempts are not recommended. So you can probably take a look at that just to know your chances. But again, like she said, like Yashaswini said, you can still apply to that school because we never know. They might still give you a chance, but if you were to filter down, then we will take a look at the list and come back to you, Mibin. Manisha asks, can we start adding our EC, INBD, and TOEFL before March in CAAPID? Do you remember this? This gets carried forward, right? Yashaswini?
Yes, yes.
I had it out
We
the
can
other day,
add
so
up. Yeah, it gets carried forward, and I believe that even after you, before we put in the application as such, we can change the TOEFL scores as well because
that's right.
I've changed my TOEFL
Yeah.
score twice. So
TOEFL you can change after you submit also, like
yeah.
if you want to change it for a new school. Another thing for EC that you should remember is after 3 cycles, you need to reorder EC into your portal again. And it will expire after 5 years. So expiration is EC entirely, but CAPID also has an internal expiration, which is 3 cycles, I think, if I'm not wrong. It's on the CAPID Help Center, Application Help Center. So you'll have to order it in after 3 years. But yeah, you can order it in earlier and then carry it forward. Dr. Renuka asks, can we change our TOEFL score? Yes, you can. You can order in the new one. The older schools that you apply to already will not get it. So remember, if you have like a significant shift, like from your 80s or 90s to like 100 plus, then I think it is worth it to email the school and tell them that you have a better score. If it's something which is minor, one points, 2 points, don't bother emailing them and nagging them. Shweta asks, I applied last cycle, does it count? What is the context here, Shweta?
It was when you were asking, have you seen the CAAPID portal? So I wasn't sure. This cycle hasn't started, so I applied last cycle. That was just when
things
you
will
were
be carried
asking.
forward. Yeah. Oh, okay. Sorry, got it.
Yeah, sorry, at that time I didn't know. I couldn't hear
okay.
when you guys started the meeting for a long time.
Okay.
So, okay.
Got it.
Thanks.
Okay. Mrinalini asks, regarding evaluation, can you kindly tell me how many characters will the evaluator get in order to write a letter? And also what steps do they have to follow while answering it? Yashaswini, do you want to go ahead?
Evaluate in the sense, are we talking about the letter of
The
recommendation?
letter, yeah, the recommender, yes.
I guess we don't have a limit for the letter of recommendation, but the thing that we universally go is like keep like one paged, and then spacing of, I guess, like one, not even double, I guess it's one. And then like maybe like 3 paragraphs or 4 paragraphs, depend upon how much. Don't make it like a huge one. I would say nobody has the time to read your full letter of recommendation. The major concentration is your SOP. Put all your energy into SOP, though LORs are important, but don't like make it like huge and make it difficult for the admissions committee to go through your materials. Keep it easy peasy, clear and concise, and straight to the point.
That's right. And I think, I think Meenakshi has already replied to that. Yes, that's right. And personal statement is 5,200 characters. Characters, remember, it's not words, characters. And The other statements, like Colorado, for example, is 3,500 and not 5,200. The
Mm.
school-specific one, I mean, the supplemental one. And Minnesota does not have a requirement per se, but I think 1 page, 1.5 pages, like 5,200 itself, you can keep as a limit for yourself. Malvika, I think your question is a little comprehensive about what next in the US. I would love it if we could talk on a call, or I can just find out what exactly looking for. You can contact us through the website, and we can do some brainstorming as to what could be your next step in the US. ADAT. Have you taken your ADAT, Yashaswini? Don't remember
No,
this.
I
You
have not
haven't.
taken.
Okay. Okay, so Ginny asks, is it worth adding ADAT to your application? I would say, again, like research, right? It's not mandatory. You don't need to have it. There are a lot of people who apply without it, even to schools like Michigan. Michigan is one school that prefers it. But that being said, if you have it, why not? It just adds an edge to your application. So it's always about doing that analysis of whether, like cost benefit, right? So time benefit. You investing this time, is it worth the application, as opposed to something else that you can do? So if you're applying, if you're preparing for INBD, for example, I would definitely recommend you can do ADAT, because a lot of the preparation is very similar. So why not do it, right, together and give the test? But if you're sort of beyond all that, and you don't really want to dive into the not academic, but test part of it again, and you would rather go for a conference or do a research experience or shadow all of that, then you can skip it. So that kind of introspection would be really helpful in a lot of your decisions, because what worked for her might not work for Ayush. What works for Ayush might not work for Harshini. What works for Harshini might not work for Aarti. So that is something that you need to find out for yourself. We're going to wrap up with couple, like 3-4 questions that's left here, and after which, anything else that you guys might want to talk about, you can email us or ask us, and we will answer. And if there's any way that Yashaswini wants to directly contact you, we'll check in with her and let you know as well, if that's a possibility. Otherwise, you can do it through us, and we can get answers for you. Samiha's question is, how long can a CV be? Is it okay if it extends to 3 to 4 pages? Ideally, keep it limited to 2.5 pages, because no one wants to read more and more of your CV. But that being said, if you have like years worth of experience, cut it down as much as you can, and then it's okay, go ahead. Again, for perspective, I know someone who got into Colorado with a 7-page CV. It is not an ideal scenario. So don't go with a 7-page CV, but know that it works if you have a lot. So try to sort of make it concise, keep cutting down things, keep the essence of it, remove the flowery words, remove the fuss and fluff, and then submit. Unless the school asks you for a particular number, like Colorado needs just 4 pages. So make sure that you meet the requirements, and then go ahead.
And even, I guess, UOP requires a different kind of
Yes,
CV altogether.
that's right.
Yeah.
UOP and UNLV have formats which is very, very to the point. So it can be a little annoying to do it, but they tell you what exactly they need. So go with that. TOEFL scores, 89, 93, 83, all these are fine scores, but 100 should be your ideal score, because a three-digit score will put you in a good space, and you won't have to look back. No school has a higher threshold than 100. So 100 is your go-to score. But in case you don't make it, keep trying again. And you can take a look at the school's individual requirements to know which all schools you can apply to. If they ask for a 90, then don't worry about 100, because they will not really put in that much thought into a score more than their requirement. So you can go ahead and apply. Is
Quick
it a
question.
Yes, MS.
There are quite a few questions on TOEFL.
Yeah.
TOEFL score expiration. Do you want to address that as a priority? Should it be
Yes.
active till admission or till the deadline of school application?
This is also school specific. Some schools ask for matriculation, which means until the day your school begins, they would need your score. But that being said, you don't have to really apply with, for example, if your matriculation is in 1.5 years and your expiration is in 1 year, you can still apply with that and then write it after. You don't have to really wait to have a complete 2-year score with you. And I said 2 years because that's the expiration time period of a TOEFL score. Once you've done the 2 years, the score will expire and you'll have to take it again. Is it a myth or a fact that you don't get accepted in your first cycle and you have to apply to more?
It was my
It's
first
not
cycle.
yeah, it's exactly. She's first cycle. It's not a myth. It's not a fact, but it's a possibility. It's statistics, I'll tell you that. Which is on an average, like probably 10 to 20% will only, or 20, okay, let's say 30% is where Yashaswini falls under. So this is just pure math, because some 3,000 people apply every year and you have less than 1,000 seats in all through the 40 schools. So how much ever amazing you are, there's always a possibility of you not striking the chord. So by that probability, yes, I would say just be prepared for a 2-year process, and 2 year can even be 1 cycle, because I think Yashaswini did apply in 2 cycles, right? I mean, you began applying the
We
next
were prepared. Yes, we were
Colorado.
prepared like
You
for
were
one
prepared.
whole cycle, and then
Exactly.
that the whole 1.5 year of the hard work went into applying properly in 2024, 2023. Sorry, 2023
Exactly.
cycle.
So they look at it as a long-term thing, and go ahead. I think we have crossed mostly all the questions. Apart from shadowing, are there any programs that you can do in the US as a tourist on a tourist visa? There are a couple of preceptorships, like Boston, for example. Anything else that you want to add, Yashaswini?
Preceptorships, I feel externships are also few in Boston, offers few externships as well. I'm not sure about other colleges, but then I would say whatever region you are, mail the colleges, tell them that your visa status, and ask them if they have any opportunities that you could be a part of. And there'll be so many dental mobile camps and volunteer camps that happens in the areas that you are in. Go and join them, and you need not be on the clinical aspect of it. Any work there, either it be you're writing like prescriptions, or like making notes of the names of people who are coming there, like whatever work it is, you can go and be associated with those things. And I believe there'll be few ASDA conferences and ADA conferences as well, that if you want to be a part of, that could be a huge source for making new connections, and you'll
That's
meet
right.
a lot of people who are in the same journey as yours.
You can also look in for research experiences, unpaid research experiences,
Research
because
experience.
you're a qualified dentist from your own home country. You have the knowledge and the skills for it, and you don't have to be paid. So a lot of schools, I know UCS have used to take, I'm not sure now, but you need to basically email like 40 places and hear back from 5 or 10. That's what I've heard from all the applicants. So that also could be done on tourist visa, a lot of them, because you're not really working, right? You're volunteering. So
And
that's
I'm sorry, Flynn, to cut you off, but this is one thing that I came to know a little later in my journey. But not only the dental schools, but most of the dental hospitals around you offers a lot
yeah.
of research programs and a lot of rotations as well. So in Boston specifically, there's Boston Children's Hospital, which is there, and there's Brigham's Women Hospital. So you could actually like mail find people on LinkedIn, and then like actually mail them, or go to that particular department and ask them that you're on this visa and you would want to be a part of the rotation. And there's so many oral surgery programs and stuff in the hospitals, which I came to know a little later, but that could be a very good addition to your application.
Yes, that's a very good point. And any level of like, even if it's a data entry job, even if it's just analytics or secondary author or secondary research, just take it up, because it'll come on your CV. And more importantly, you don't know the networking that you could possibly do there. I remember Nourah saying that the first research job she got was in a pharma company where she did data entry job, and because she was networked with people there, some random, like not random person, someone she knows there, but who saw her work and knew that she was looking for research experience, later granted her a research opportunity in dentistry. So you never know what will come your way. So just keep going and doing what comes in your path. And Malvika, IMD-PASS results are valid forever. There's no retaking it. So no worries on that. And I think we have crossed everything else. If there's anything else, guys, please email us because I think we are way over time. Last one question from Parishi, because I know you've been raising your hand since the beginning of the session, I think. Are you there? Dr. Parishi.
Yes, I'm there. So my question
Did you have a
was,
question? Yeah.
yes, when is the ideal time for me to give the TOEFL?
Yes, you can go ahead.
TOEFL, I would say you can give it before Feb starts, or maybe like the first week of Feb, so that you're ready with all your scores, because even like for the scores to arrive, I guess it takes like about 12 to 14 days for you to receive them, and another 5 days or a week for them to send it to the CAPID portal. So you would need about like 15 to 20 days in your hand after you get your score for it to appear on your CAPID portal by the time the cycle starts. So anytime before Feb first week is suggestible.
Okay, thank you.
That's right. And just to add on to that, you guys can, the idea of doing it in Feb is because of 2 years expiration, right? Which is why the closer you are to the application, more benefit you will get out of it. And you can even try December end or Jan, so that in case you don't do well enough in the first go, you have time to maybe give it one more time and improve your score. All right. Guys, thank you so much. I think this was a little more engaging than I thought it would be. And I'm really glad that you all asked questions. And thank you so much for being a part of the CAPID drill. If you have any feedback as to how this can be made better, we have 2 more coming up in the coming weeks. Please email us. You'll have our email ID on that event calendar invite, or even on our website, and we'll try to incorporate it. And see if you guys are joining the other drills. Looking forward to meeting you there. The next one is solely about personal statements, so we're trying to bring in more information on that. And the one after that is like Yashaswini joined us here, Dr. Parth Patel, who is right now a student in UPenn, DDS student, will also be joining us on that day's call. Thank you so much.